So I'm going to shut the hell up and I'm going to read this story. And I hope you enjoy it. Here I am, anonymous in Oklahoma. Prior to November 8, 2016, I had been skipping along happily in my pro-Hillary fog. I thought Donald Trump was not a viable candidate and at most would provide us with a few laughs while he fulfilled his need to get the attention he so obviously craved. My fog evaporated 2 weeks before the election. My sister and I were waiting for my brother-in-law in the parking lot of the hardware store where he worked. After he approached the vehicle, just to be nice, I commented on how professional he looked. He thanked me, then looked at my sister and pointed at a lawnmower. And he told her he wanted to save up to buy one. Then, in a loud tone, he said, "Forget it. What am I thinking? I need to save up to buy guns because if that bitch Hillary, that old fucker Bernie gets elected, those fucking liberals are gonna take all our guns." He sneered, spitting out the words as if he had tasted something disgusting. I was in shock. He knew I was a Democrat. We have had a long-standing truce that in order to keep the peace, we would not discuss politics. He broke the truce that day, along with our relationship and later my relationship with my sister. After that incident, I started looking around and listening to people around me. Living in Oklahoma, I knew guns would play a big part in this election, and in some areas, race would as well. But I believed, wrongly, as it turned out, that common sense would prevail and Trump and his cronies wouldn't be allowed anywhere near the White House. On the day of the election, my 11-year-old daughter stopped me as I was getting in my car to vote. "Here, Mom," she said, and handed me my MP4 player with earphones. "You might need them because more than likely people will be talking about things you don't agree with, and I don't want you to get angry." The wisdom of children. And thanks to my daughter, I spent my time at the polling place listening to fun 80s songs like "Walk Like an Egyptian" instead of the anti-liberal chatter going on around me. And when it was my turn to receive my ballot, I handed my voter ID to a smiling older lady waiting behind the table. She looked down at my card. When she looked back up, her smile had gone. "You have to wait," she said in a stern voice. "Those people are ahead of you." She pointed at a group of people who had been in line behind me. "I was in line ahead of them," I explained. The lady shook her head and called a couple of people in line by their first names. She motioned with a wave, letting them walk through without writing down their information. After waiting 30 additional minutes, I was finally allowed to vote. I am not sure if the people behind me were voting more than once, or if the woman was just trying to silence my voice by making me angry. Maybe she was hoping I would get frustrated and leave. I don't know. But I was determined to cast my ballot. Still, the whole experience left me with a sinking feeling. And my sinking feeling grew stronger throughout the day. I tried to tell myself to stop worrying. There was no way Trump would get elected. The radicals were louder, but sanity would prevail. For reassurance, I reached out to some of my friends who lived in more progressive states. But as it turned out, they were worried too. I went to bed early that night, unable to bear watching Hillary Clinton concede to that monster. After a couple of days of trying to get over the fact that I now view most of the American population as morons, I took a closer look at the people closest to me. One sister voted for Trump, one sister didn't vote at all, and my mother voted for Hillary. All aunts, uncles, and cousins on my mother's side voted for Trump. I had almost as much disdain for those who didn't vote as I did for those who voted for Trump. So when it came time for Thanksgiving, I knew I could not sit with a group of people who went to church on Sundays, bent down on their knees to pray every night, read the Bible every morning, asked for unspoken prayer requests on social media, and yet somehow didn't care enough to vote against everything Trump stood for. My non-voting sister was not happy with my decision not to partake in the Thanksgiving festivities. She informed me I needed to get over myself pretty quickly, that I could not avoid my Trump-loving family members forever, and that something might happen where I would have to be around them then. I told her that, in my heart, I could not accept anyone in my life who voted for Trump. My sister, the Trump supporter, has a biracial niece and nephew. Her niece and nephew's father is an undocumented immigrant. She has a gay sister, me, and marks Hispanic on employment applications just as the rest of my family does. She owns a home daycare business, and every one of her clients is on state assistance. Every last one. And the last time a Republican was president, her husband couldn't find a job, and for 3 years he was unemployed. She spent a majority of that time on social media sites asking churches for money just to pay her bills. Her vote was almost totally influenced by her husband and the NRA. She voted against her own interest and the interest of her family. I couldn't comprehend it. I recently had a conversation with my mother. I could not be close to people who I believe shouldn't be able to marry the person I love, I said. I cannot be close to someone who thinks if my child is raped, she must carry that baby to term. I can't be close to someone who thinks grabbing someone by the pussy is acceptable presidential behavior. My mom then told me that it was their right to their own beliefs under the First Amendment. I told her I agreed with her, but why wasn't I being given the same courtesy when I said I didn't want to be around the family members who are Trump followers? Why was I being labeled narrow-minded and selfish? Mom? Yes. Her response, because she is your sister and you love her. But here's the frightening part. I don't love her. I don't hate her either. I feel nothing toward her. Nothing. Like I have hit a wall. And that worries me most of all. So here I am, in a state where every county went red. Every single county. Here I am in a state where the governor recently issued a proclamation of National Day of Prayer, not for people who are poor or homeless, not for any human beings, but for oil fields. Oil fields. Here I am in a state so bankrupt by poor management that we were forced to buy new license plates because we needed more revenue. Here I am in a state that did not update its state identification cards as ordered by the federal government because state officials thought it would be harder for terrorists to duplicate our cards if we kept the old ones. Soon, we will have to use our passports at airports or to enter federal buildings because our state identification is going to be worthless. Here I am in a state where a governor so inept that she was appointed to Trump's transition team. That same governor had her daughter move her trailer house onto the grounds of the governor's mansion. And who footed the bill for her water and electricity? You guessed it, taxpayers. Here I am in a state being rocked by earthquakes because of our governor's love affair with big oil companies and their fracking. Here I am in a state that uses taxpayer monies to settle sexual harassment cases, such as the one involving Representative Dan Kirby at the price tag of $44,000. Here I am, a little speck of blue in a red volcano. But here I am, and here is where I will stay. Here I am, by Anonymous, in Oklahoma.